Act 2 Start of UA Chapter 13. Kaido Point of View. Aya. 1B, I cheered, lowering the invitation card, which told me what class I needed to find myself in for day 1 of class. I don't even hesitate, I just open the door and walk inside as if I owned the place. Taking notice that a number of other students who got this homeroom, already seated, or standing and talking near seats in parts of the room. I notice a pretty girl with black hair, crazy long and messy bangs, and a ponytail, wearing glasses grabbing and pulling a guy who looked tired across the room to in front 2 other girls in the room, laying her hands atop his shoulders as she introduced them to the 2. One girl had snakes for hair, creepy. And the other looked strangely familiar, she had flaming green hair. Oh. And this is Shota. He might look like a total letdown. But he's actually really cool once you get to know him. Rubbing behind his head, as he sighed with a forwards head tilt. Clearly not wanting to be pestered, but not willing to shut down his friends from the energetic introductions. Is this really necessary, Nemuri? He complained in a tired sense of disapproval. The 2 girls in question seemed the least bit interested in all of it, but indulged them with attention, as to not seem rude. I grow an expression that sort of told of awkwardness, but why was, because I understood that feeling, wanting nothing more than to be left alone, but your friend's a bit too much, of an extrovert. I lose my awkward expression as I stopped in my tracks, falling into thought. We'd hanged out many times since the entrance exams. And we got our results, and acceptance or denial letters in the mail a week later. But I never actually asked or heard from Rumi or you if they made it in or not. Nor about what class they'd be in. The topic just never entered the realms of conversation when we hung out. I stand up straight, looking over everyone in the classroom. Not seeing anyone I recognized. I hope they at the very least, got in. Returning into a walk, approaching a seat near the front of class, I picked just a random seat, with seats empty around it, and sit my butt down, taking my bag off, and laying it under my desk. Hey! Aren't you the guy jumping around rooftops and stuff like some kind of ninja during the entrance exams? A rather large dude round spoke from a few seats away. I blink a few times, before looking to see if he was talking to me. He was looking at me, so I figured he was answering. You noticed? Firing off a sniper every 30 seconds. Wearing blue and black, with purple and pink hair, it would have been impossible not to, he joked, laughing at my odd question. I chuckled cheekily as I rubbed the back of my head. Well, when you put it like that, laughing at the end, he introduced himself in a respectful yet inviting tone. The name's Taishiro Toyomitsu, Kaina Tsutsumi, pleasure to meet you, Tsutsumi huh? Well, Tsutsumi, I have a question. I point at him with a finger gun, while I started getting a notebook and pencils out my bag in case we had any work today. Which I doubt, with it being the first day. Shoot. What happened to your hair? I grew an open-mouth awkward smiling expression. I dyed it white. It'll sound really strange, but I dye it to make my bullet tracers that color, and black or white tracers usually works better for me than other colors so. I admit embarrassed about needing to explain it. It was a simple yet embarrassing reason. Oh, I guess that makes sense, so your hair color affects the color of your bullets I assume. I nod, grabbing, twisting a strand of hair and plucking it. Creating a epoxy bullet out of it. My hair works a lot like epoxy, when I twist it together, it tightens and hardens to that of alloyed bullets. I then use them as my ammo. I cheerfully informed, explaining the function of my hair, and the relevance of the hair color. Sitting back, arms crossed with a sense of puzzlement. Your quirk sounds really similar to the pro hero Lady Nagant's. He announced, turning and retrieving a water bottle from his bag, and drinking from it, apparently, from that statement alone, not aware of my mother's real name, or at least her last name. Since I had already introduced myself. Nor had he connected the dots. I begin scratching the side of my face, mouth open, wobbly smile as I spoke, averting my gaze with a passively nervous expression. "Well, that would be, because Nagant's actually my mom," falling back as he spewed water out his mouth in disbelief, shouting. "Nagant's your mother." I chuckle awkwardly, not answering. I feel like it was self-explanatory. "I see, was wondering why you seemed so familiar during the entrance exams. You look so different from your mother." A man with unusual arms, because they had mufflers protruding from them, black hair, and a friendly smile, approached. I lower my arm and smile proudly. I get that a lot, I admit. It's obvious, that, facial feature-wise, I look nothing like Nagant. I took after my real parents in that regard. And honestly, if it wasn't for features mimicked from the quirk, like different eyes for increased eyesight, colored epoxy hair, and a gun arm, I don't think anyone would even believe me. Extending a hand as he arrived, I grab it, shaking it firmly. "My name is Tensei Ida, it's a pleasure to meet you." "Kaina Tsutsumi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're related to the Ida family of engine heroes." He smiles, proud of the question, and implications. "That's correct, my father, and my grandfather were both heroes sporting the engine quirk. In fact, my mother and my grandmother also had ties in heroics." Clearing her throat as she approached, stopping beside my desk. Taishiro and Tensei stop and look to her with puzzlement. I do too. Silent, we give her the floor. "It's that girl with flaming hair. Why does she look so familiar? It's bugging me that I can't remember." She fished 2,200 yen, $15 USD roughly, from her pocket, holding it out to me as she spoke with a subtle sense of duty. "I just wanted to repay you for saving me at the entrance exams. I just barely got enough points to get into UA. So, I'm confident if you hadn't done that back there, I might not have passed." She admits, sounding genuine in the moment. I look up from her money at her and give a genuine expression, shaking my head. "I appreciate it, but I think I'm going to have to deny the payment." She seemed a little taken back. Continuing, as I sported an encouraging smile. "But, if you really feel the need to repay me, then you can do so by studying and working hard here at UA. I want you to prove to not just everyone, but to yourself as well, that you getting here wasn't out of some kind of luck or accident. Credit yourself, you got here through your own smarts, commitment and hardships." She blushed like a tomato, her green flaming hair turned to orange flames as she averted her gaze. She opened her mouth to speak. Is interrupted before she can get the words out by. "What's with the white hair? Trying to pose as some kind of old geezer now?" Rumi asked, teasing me as she approached. I turn, looking past Tensei and the burning hair girl. Smiling even brighter. "Just when I thought this school had standards, you come waltzing in like you belong." I carry on. "Ouch. Is that how you're supposed to address a woman when she enters the room?" I grew a teaseful expression, rolling my eyes as she arrived. I didn't realize I was talking to a woman. "My bad," flicking my forehead as she passed, and sat behind my seat. I turned looking back to her, rubbing my forehead. "So, tell me, how many points did you get in the exams?" I asked, as the flaming hair girl just stayed standing there staring at us silently for a while, before tsuking, and walking away. Tensei sat in front Taishiro and the two began talking about hero trading cards. She brushed hair from in front her face to behind an ear, before huffing proudly, sitting back, arms crossed, and a stuck-up expression of superiority before she spoke. 74 combat points, 6 rescue points. She admits, I think to myself a little, surprised by how small it was. 80? I asked in an oddly, not impressed tone. But not a rude tone either. "Oh, and just how many did you get?" She pressed. I started rubbing the side of my neck as I answered. 83 combat, and 30 rescue points. She widens her eyes in just pure shock. "You got 83 combat points? Even though you broke your gun halfway in?" she shouted in utter disbelief, attracting the attention of others in the room. 3 boys, one of them being the one who was being pestered by his female friend, began approaching as a group. Yo! You got 83 combat points. No way. How? A loud guy, wearing shades, and sporting an unusual hairstyle, with yellowish blonde hair. Man, you must have been at the top of the leaderboard, no problem. Another guy in the group with white hair, a bandage over the top of his nose, and blue eyes admired in astonishment. Hang on, if you got 83 combat points, then how many rescue points did you get? The dude who was being pestered earlier, actually interested now, asked, as they surrounded me at my table. Rapid sweats expelling down my face as I raised my hands in concern. 30. Wait, did no one get more than 80 combat points during the exams? I was starting to realize, my score wasn't as small and lacking as I'd told myself it was these past months. No way. You got 113 points. I only got 63 total. The guy with white hair just couldn't believe it. Yeah. Like, just what are you exactly? Some kind of super soldier. The one with shades on pressed. The third guy, standing in the middle completely silent, but his eyes tell of his shock to the high points count. Ooh oh. I get the feeling that my score wasn't as low as I thought it was. I admit, hinting that I thought I wasn't sporting a very good score to begin with. Did I hear that right? Kaido, did you get 113 points during the entrance exam? You spoke loudly and with disbelief as she rushed inside the room, having heard from out in the hallway. I guess this brings my worries as to whether my friends made it into UA to rest. I look out towards her, scratching with a finger the side of my face. How many points did you get? I asked, really curious now. Surely you got more combat points than I did. She's got that awesome gigantification quirk after all. I only got 78 and 62 points were combat points. I start to sweat even more, as I avert my gaze in embarrassment. Oh. Only 83 combat points, huh? His rifle broke halfway through. I only got 120 combat points. Would he have passed me in points if his gun didn't malfunction? A guy with red wings and feathers on his back, at the corner of the classroom by himself, mumbled, unheard by everyone, revealing their point score to each other, and surrounding me. But me, I heard him. And while everyone conversated amongst themselves, continuing to grow a crowd around me, I avert my gaze from them, and peer through the crowd at him. He noticed me staring at him with a look of subtle interest. He parted his lips, unsure of me, before narrowing his eyes and averting his gaze. The bell begins to ring, and everyone went silent, looking up at the bell, before hustling to find seats. Yu sits down behind Rumi, and leans around Rumi, wondering aloud. I wonder who our homeroom teacher is. Well, all the staff and teachers are either active, or retired pro heroes. So, that narrows it down a little bit. I begin to ponder as well. I heard Snipe and Ectoplasm work here, maybe one of them. The door to the classroom opens, and in came the answer to our question. Everyone went quiet, no longer gossiping and wondering who it would be, as the teacher began into the classroom. Smiles, excitement, and shock fills everyone as they entered. And no way, Rumi blurted out. You was just. Silence by disbelief, while I hear her words this morning, echo. Now seeing what it was, she had in mind. Mom, you're Are you thinking about going back to being a hero? Sort of. Though what I'm really doing, I haven't announced to the media yet. But that's nothing you need to be worried about, I promise. Speaking as she reached the front of the room. Good morning, class, everyone in unison answering in a respectful tone. Except you, me, and Rumi, who stay in silence. Good morning. My name is Kaina Tsutsumi, but you may better know me as the pro hero Lady Nagant, who retired almost 2 years ago. But you can just call me Miss Tsutsumi. She looked away from everyone and looked directly at me with a subtle look of tease. Of course. With the exception of one of you. Who can just continue to call me Mom. She finished, looking directly at me. Everyone who didn't know me yet or hadn't been introduced yet to me knew now, as they looked to who she was. Me. Of course, just because you're my son, doesn't mean you'll get any special treatment, or get it easier than the rest of you. I will be holding you to the same, if not a higher standard, than everyone else. Returning her gaze unto everyone in the room again. I am your homeroom teacher, and I will be acting as both your hero course and language arts teacher. Now. Bringing her hands together chest level, a loving smile, one of excitement and anticipation as she continued, in a bubbly inviting manner. That I've introduced myself, I think it's time that I, and your fellow classmates get to know each other as well. So, one at a time, I'll be picking amongst you, and I'd like for you to come to the front, and introduce yourselves, tell your age, and give a brief rundown of your quirk. As well as why you wish to become a hero. After that, we'll be heading to the auditorium for the welcoming ceremony. End of chapter 13.